Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode 152. This is reviewing the 103rd episode series, Harmony and Gold. Yep. This episode focuses on Team 15, though with a guest appearance by Team 5. Yep. And the episode starts off with them basically just going to capture, the two teams will try and capture some bandits, and they take out a good number of them. And about to take out the boss, all of a sudden, Togashi, she's the samurai from the Land of Iron, she tries to take out the boss with the leader of this group with her snowstorm slash, and it doesn't work. Yeah, they don't really. They say she's sort of a dull sword, maybe because of lack of experience. I don't know. It's not really explained properly why her sword didn't work. Yep. But Team 5 basically captured the leader anyways. No problem at all. Though Thing did take out some trees, not take out the guy himself, maybe she missed. It's possible, and apparently Team 5 took all the credit. So they apparently decided to do a competition of who does better on missions. Who does the best? The losers get to buy them whatever they want. Yep. And Hanabi basically is happy for their competitive nature. But on the last mission they go on, after basically going through 7 missions, apparently she realizes though that it's good, but the way they're doing it is not good for basically the people who they're trying to support, because they're actually on a bodyguard mission, which for Naruto this would be easy, because every time he does a bodyguard mission, he actually is pretty successful at it. Because if you watch both the original Naruto series and Shippuden, anytime this guy is given a bodyguard mission, the mission always comes to a complete success. Boruto apparently, as far as I can tell, he picked up that success. He inherited that success basically when he did his first mission, which was a bodyguard mission. Yep. And apparently Team 15 couldn't do it, but luckily enough the Hanabi was there to save the merchant from 2 bandits. So, despite the fact they were sent to do a boar mission next day, they couldn't participate because of the fact they nearly cost the life of their merchant. So, they basically spent time cooling their heads and realized, though, and of course, they tried to do some training. Of course, Tabasi basically sees Team 5 go on the mission with their guide. I'll get to him. And then she basically ponders. Of course, she writes. Apparently, she decides to write a letter to her mother, and it's done long-handed, basically. Now, this is probably the Japanese way of basically writing letters, basically on long scrolls. Yeah, when I think of writing a letter, I think just writing on like a piece of paper about this big. That's what I think of. The way they do it here in the series is a Japanese-style way of writing letters. Excuse me, when I can tell, it seems like a really long letter. And of course, she mentions the current, I believe the guy she mentioned in the episode, I believe he's the current head of Land of Iron. I don't know, because the Land of Iron, the guy who's head of it, the one they showed in Naruto Shippuden, he didn't really appear very much at all. I mean, outside of his debut episode, which he appeared in, for that big conference to set up the fourth Ninja War, he only appeared a handful of times after that. He was a good character, he was a good fighter, but not much was known about him aside from the fact he was a damn good fighter. And I think he's the one who's her mentor, I'm not really sure. Also, is it just me, or is it just that the one who's the animal, I think her name is Wasumi, I think her name is, she's taller than she is. She's actually the second shortest, person in the group. Wasumi basically is the shortest. Yep. So they realize though, and of course they do some training, or teammates basically for training, and they hear some noises in the forest, so they go check it out. And what do they find? The actual guy that was supposed to be on the boar hunt. Yeah, and it turns out the guy who went with Team 5 is not actually the guide, because he leads into a trap. It turns out he's the younger brother of the bandit from the start of the episode. Yep. Also, before I continue with this, there's a thing with Boruto this episode. Because the fact this episode is focused on him, he appears for 2 scenes, and that's it. Though, interesting enough, he only appears at the Thunder Burger. Yep, that's where he appears. He first appears basically seeing that Tasumi basically eating this large pile of fries. And Wasu basically is worried that if this keeps up, she'll basically eat up her whole allowance buying her friend food. Yep. And having that much, not even hiking. This is a stack about this high of freaking French fries. Yeah, Boruto's like, really? You're gonna eat just French fries? And of course, me a comment though, she might get a little bit of weight. She probably burned it out pretty easily thanks to her sword training. Yep. And then Boruto meets up with her later, and just basically gives her a sandwich and his drink. And well, basically, you gotta do a full package deal. And she brings this up later when they're doing when she's basically rescuing Team 5, which, of course, they do the competition and something sparks up because Dinky brings out his mini laptop. Yes. And apparently, she had never seen these before because she's from the land of iron. My guess is probably technology has probably not reached that far in the Great Shinobi Nations. They probably reached as far as Land of Iron. So she's not that surprised that her skill set is actually better than her own team and Team 5, but individually Team 15 is actually weaker since she's basically came on board. That's the competition came about. And of course Dekai uses it later on in the episode to basically have his teammates do various things. Like having basically Metal Lay protect him, of course take out some enemies, and Iwami basically taking out a mud wall, like bring up a mud wall so like protection. And the realize is that yes, you should have your teammates cover your weaknesses. Okay, it was some competitiveness there, but not like the over the top they had, that which probably cost them their last mission. And so they're the ones take out the remaining the leader, and of course they launch another ambush. Excuse me, and then somebody brings out her slash, and she's able to take out a good chunk of the people basically there. And of course the boss is eventually taken out. And they all captured everybody, and of course they mentioned they contact reinforcements that Hiwami was gonna be there, but she never shows up anyways. So everything's like back hunky dory, and of course she basically falls asleep from exhausting her chakra using that one move. Everyone thought she was gonna die, and then it turns out nope, she just went to sleep. Yep, which kind of killed the mood, but I thought it was kind of hilarious. Yep, but that's kind of how the episode ends. Now, Hiwambi does not show up at all after this. Here's the thing about her. She pops up 3 times in the episode. 3 times. I'm like, seriously? You don't pop up any other time in the episode? You pop up when you see him in a tree in one mission, and then another time she pops up basically saving merchants, and then she just later on she's chastising her team for failing the mission. And that's it for her. Yeah, that's the thing about Hiwambi. She, despite being the teacher of the group, she doesn't usually do a lot of fighting with the group at all, which is kind of odd. Kakashi always did that with his group. And as a matter of fact, if you look at basically the previous generations, their senseis, they always take part in the missions. They don't basically leave their team to all the work. I'm not really sure why Hiwambi does that for. It's one of the most strangest things. Now, of course, anybody can theorize, though, why she got the job mentoring this team. Why? Because her brother-in-law is the Hokage. He can point her if he wants to. And plus, this woman just happens to be the next head of the Hyuga clan. Yep. That's probably the reason why she doesn't do much for missions-wise. But yeah, and who knew, though, that a girl basically can grow up to be that frickin' tall and basically wear komodos compared to her sister, who wears normal clothing. Yeah, that's something interesting, though, about the difference between Hiwami and Hinata. Hinata always generally wears normal clothing. She very rarely wears komodos. While in the case of Hiwambi, she always wears kimonos. And yeah, now that's it for the episode. Next week's episode is voiced on Himari. Yep, it's been a while since we actually focused on her. Now I'm glad we get a chance to focus on her, which I think is quite interesting. Oh, one thing I know about this week's episode, it was slightly more interesting than last week's episode, which was okay. But at least this one basically was a little more interesting to watch than just try out a few things, having started to be lucky, and of course admitting that basically that was a lie. And as the whole development of the character, well, it's like the episode kind of stopped where it was. This week's episode basically felt like a very self-contained episode, and at a pretty high note, and we can still possibly see these characters in the future. Excuse me. And it looks like though that Hiwami basically is going to show up next week's episode as well, which that is quite interesting though for this character because this woman has popped up a handful of times over the course of the series. And this is the first time I can think of she's popped up for 2 episodes in a row. Because prior to this particular episode, she had not appeared for several episodes. I think the last time she appeared was to help out basically Boruto's grandfather with the situation involving a challenge with his challenge and come up birthday present for his birthday. That was the last time she was seen. I think it's been about 10 episodes she was last seen. But yeah, first time she's appeared 2 episodes in a row. And this one I should point out though is taller than Konohamaru. Yep, I don't know because she sat right next to him, and she's taller than he is by about 2 inches. And nobody talks about this. Hey, you're taller than Konohamaru. Even when they were drunk, no one pointed this out though. This is episode 50. Yep. Yeah, but otherwise though, that's really it for this particular review. My next review, and I hope I get a chance to put it up, will be a review, hopefully my first review for Tanya the Evil. Yep, but here's the next video. Bye.